Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Beaumont and welcome to this series called Design My Website, where we're showing you everything you need to know about how to design and build a great website for your growing business. This episode is called Should I Fix or Rebuild My Website? And we're going to be helping you to make this really important decision. So if you have a website right now, it's a decision you've got to make. Do I just fix the one that I've got, maybe renovate it, so to speak, or is it time to do a complete knockdown and rebuild and actually get a new website built from scratch? By the end of this episode, you'll know for sure what you need to do and how to take those important steps. With me here in the studio, I have two leading website developers. They have collectively built their company anyway, over 4,000 websites. They have 20 staff, and they know a lot about this subject because you deal with clients like this all day, every day. So I'm a client, I'm coming to you in like how often do people already have an existing website versus how often do they have a new website they want to build from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, typically most businesses these days have a website. So I think if it's an existing business, the vast majority of existing businesses now have websites. Obviously the people who don't have websites are the startups. So people just starting out a new company, a new idea, they're generally the ones that don't have a website.
So people that have been in business for a while, they come to you and they go, I'm thinking about a new website, but I'm not sure. Can you fix the one that I've got? Because my website developer is maybe no longer in business, or the system, I can't log into it anymore, or whatever the reason is, or should I build it from scratch? So we've got some questions that we're going to get into right now. So let's maybe start with a big picture question and then we'll drill down in a bit more detail.
Sure.
What is the answer? Is there an answer? Should you rebuild or should you start again from scratch?
Yeah, there is quite a lot of factors to consider.
Okay.
We've got a checklist to go through, but it really depends on what you want to change and what the current platform is and what the options are moving forward.
Okay, and Tamsin, you speak to a lot of people as well in this situation. Is there a hard and fast answer? Or
it surprises me how many people come to us saying, I want a new website, I hate my old website. And sometimes we look at it and it's like, it's not that bad. But what you see is, that it doesn't always represent what's going on in the back end. So a lot of our clients that come to us, they are very clear that they want a new website. That's why they're coming to us. And then there's people that are not sure about that. And it is a difficult decision. And sometimes the answer is maybe it's not now. I mean, some people know it's now. We had a client whose website was overdeveloped, as I was saying, by a company in India, overdeveloped. The hosting company couldn't actually host it anymore. The website crashed pretty much once a month. $1 million business. She needed a website, like yesterday, but a website of her size doesn't, take 6 months to build. So sometimes people are like, I need a website, my new website yesterday. Some people, depending, once we go through the list and see, where you sit, it may be, start thinking about it, but you probably don't need to do anything for another year. And then other people, it's like, no, you've got you've got everything, you tick all the boxes, the problems that you have are really minor, and you should be able to find a developer to just tweak those few things and you're good for another couple of years.
Okay, so we've prepared a checklist. I think there's 7 things on this checklist, and these are things that you can ask yourself or your existing website developer if you still have a relationship with them. And this will help people to do a self-assessment, right, of whether or not, and if you've answered yes to the majority of these questions, maybe you're okay with what you've got, but if you're kind of seeing that every single one of these is a problem for you, then we should really look at perhaps rebuilding the website from scratch. So let's get into the first one. What's the first question that you need to ask yourself when it comes to deciding what you should do?
Yeah, so the first question is, does it look modern and professional? And I think that why that's important is, log on to your site and have a look at it. Is it a good representation of your business? Is it the image of the business that you want to portray? It might have been a few years ago that you did the website, and it might be looking, obviously design trends and things change, so it might be looking a bit old and outdated. Also look at the content and look at the things and the functionality. Does the content still speak to my target market? Is it still engaging for my customers? Is the functionality that I have, is that meeting my needs?
Okay, so does it look modern and professional? Because many websites, you'll see it and go, "Oh, that looks like so 2005." It just looks old, looks out of date, and that could be the fonts, colors, images. It could be the formatting and the design of the websites, because practices have changed a lot, haven't they?
Yeah, and you might have done it yourself to begin with, and as your business has grown, the do-it-yourself website might not be quite doing what it was, what it used to.
Okay, and what are your criteria in terms of design? What should people be having from their website?
I mean, if you're talking about what's current design, the having as much information on the homepage, scrolling down, the page, that whole scrolling down page,
Yes.
one page, but that is definitely in. Everything bigger on the website, so you see a lot of websites with one big hero image on the homepage, giving a snapshot of the look and the sort of like the feel and the atmosphere, what you want the client to experience about your business, as opposed to you see a lot of dated websites that are really small, the content's small. And yeah, I was going to go into responsive, but we can talk about that next.
All right, let's go into the next one. Number 2, is your website responsive? So hopefully you know what that means if you're watching this, but if you don't, let's remind people, what is responsive?
So responsive is making sure that your website is crafted in a way that it views optimally on all devices, so that when you're looking at the website on a desktop, it looks good. People can navigate, they can get the information that they need, and it looks like a normal website. And then when you're looking on your phone, your iPad, it might not look exactly the same, but it's easy to navigate. And so that's what responsive is. The website responds to the device that you're looking.
And it does it automatically, right?
Yeah,
people
that's
don't need to sort of tell it; it just does it.
No, it detects what kind of screen, basically the size of the screen, and then it adjusts the site to suit it. I think it's important now. A few years ago, everybody was using computers and laptops to access computers, but to access websites. But now, people have iPads, they have smartphones, and screens typically are getting smaller. So you need to make sure that people on the go can quickly, can get onto your website and quickly access.
And some of the research shows now that over 50% of people browsing the web are doing it on handheld devices like phones or tablets, right? Yeah. So it is something that we really have to pay attention to.
That's right. Yeah, it's super important.
So how do you know if your website is responsive? Is there
the best thing to do is just to go onto your device and put your website in and let it, and see what it looks like. And some websites don't actually look too bad. Maybe the text is a little bit small, but the main things you want to look at is the contact number clickable? So that's something, is it easily accessible to get the contact number for the business? And obviously, is it clickable? Is the contact form, does the contact form work? Is the critical information, can you navigate? If the navigation doesn't work, the website is essentially broken. It doesn't work. And obviously, if you are selling online, it's imperative that all the functionality of commerce are working, because a lot of people buy online.
Yeah, correct. So what should be happening is all the images should resize for the screen, and the text should also be readable even on a small device.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Google actually has you can actually go to a Google site, and actually there's a test that'll show if it's showing up properly.
I think it's Google responsive, a Google mobile test, I think it's called. If you put that into Google, then you can put your website in, and it will tell you whether it's responsive or not.
Yeah, that's right. It gives you a grading in terms of usability from mobile devices. devices.
And would you say this is not really a choice anymore? It's a must.
It's a must.
It's a must.
Absolutely.
So we can kind of say if your website is not responsive, you better move over to a new one. So that's almost like you can forget
stop
about
there.
the rest of the list.
Google's actually not indexing sites on mobile devices if they're not mobile responsive. So essentially, if you're not mobile responsive, when people search for your business, you're not going to show up on Google on mobile devices.
Okay, great. All right, let's go into number 3. Is your website built on open source software? So we're going to cover that, and we have in other episodes, but just remind us again why this is so important.
So open source is essentially a software technique where the developers open the source code up for all other developers to work on it. So that means there's a community of developers building functionality, making updates, and making improvements. It's the biggest benefit for business is the availability of functionality that used to cost considerably more money is now available for a reasonable price. So WordPress, for example, has thousands of plugins, and all of those plugins have different types of functionality. So it just means that you have access at your fingertips. You can start your business with a basic website, and then you might need to add functionality. You might, if you're a yoga studio, you might want to put a booking form on there. You might decide that you want to sell things online. You can add WooCommerce. There's literally a huge amount of things you can do with an open source platform.
And we spoke about some examples before, like WordPress and Joomla and Drupal being good open source systems. But the question that many people will be asking now is, how do I know if my website that was built 5-10 years ago is open source or not? How do I find that out?
Yeah, probably the first place is ask the company that built it. They should be able to tell you whether it's an open source or a proprietary system. So if generally with a proprietary system, the company there'll be something in a clause where you won't be able to take the website to another hosting environment because they've designed their hosting environment for the proprietary software.
What about if they start doing tech talk at you, like it's a CMS, HTML, JavaScript, all that stuff?
Yeah, I would stick to the simple question: is it open source or is it not?
Okay.
If it gets to, I think if they skirt the question, then you can probably assume that it's not open source.
Yeah. Okay. So any points on that?
Or just in terms of whether you should upgrade or stay with your existing host or rebuild your website, I would say if you find out that you are on a proprietary system, you probably would be wanting, even if you are very happy with everything, you do want to be looking down the track of getting out of that. Because I think long term, it's a difficult thing to say because you might be very happy, but if your business is growing and you are feeling frustrated with the functionality, being on a proprietary system will be limiting at some point. So I would say if you are on a proprietary system, probably maybe not immediately if you're happy, but within 1, 2, 3 years.
Because as you need new features, you're going to have to oftentimes build those from scratch, and they could cost thousands or tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it might be a custom. There might be a charge for more custom development, or they simply might not add the functionality. Typically, with proprietary systems, they take a little bit longer to release functionality because they don't have that access to that big community of developers making updates.
Okay, anything more on that?
And you're investing.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.